All right, here we go. Section 7a. So, quadratic formula. We've already emphasized what we're doing here. Now, the quadratic formula reminder. Notice on the left-hand side, what is it equal to? 0. That's different than yesterday. Today, you've got to have your problems equal to 0. My 2 top students, probably if I took my 5 top students last hour, my 2 top students, both when we were practicing a problem, ran with the problem, didn't set it equal to 0, did everything right, except they started with the wrong inputs. And if you change one input from a positive to a negative at the very beginning and you plug it in wrong, everything's wrong. So you got to be careful that it's equal to 0. So here's our quadratic formula. One more time, sing it with me. X equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. By singing it, it will imprint itself in your mind. Trust me on this one, it works. And you'll remember it. And the goal is to remember the quadratic formula. Specifically, the last couple words were all over 2a. Not just over 2a, but what's over 2a? The whole thing. And I'm going to show you the implications of that in a second. So here we go. I put A, B, C on the left because I want you to do that on your homework. So A equals 1, B equals negative 2, but now we have a problem. We haven't actually set the problem up correctly. So I need to change this problem. And I need to change this problem and bring that A over. How am I going to bring it over? Jacob?
Subtract.
Okay, so we're going to minus 8. So my value of C is really negative 8. So put a negative 8 down there. For the quadratic formula to work, it's got to be equal to 0. And that's how it's set up and designed. Now every problem tonight, I want you right below where you copy the problem, I want you to write the quadratic formula out. So, if you can, use your calculator, cover up the quadratic formula at the top, and see if right now you can just write it on your own and do it right there. So go ahead and write that. Physically write it out. And then look up. All right, write out your quadratic formula. And go from there. Now, our next step, and from here it's almost very straightforward. Wherever you see a variable, you replace it with the parentheses, and you stick in the value. Negative 2. Plus or minus the square root. Negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 8 all over 2a, which is 1. Now I've kind of done those in red just to emphasize them, but each one of your parts is very particular here, and use parentheses when you're doing that. Now we're going to need to just do a little bit of a simplification, and you're going to find this is really straightforward. What's the opposite of negative 2? 2. Plus or minus. Now here's where you need your calculators. On your calculator, you need to put in the following. Parentheses, negative 2 squared, with parentheses, minus 4, parentheses, 1, parentheses, parentheses, negative 8, parentheses, equals. Go. Plug that in. If you want, you can do it in your head, or you can do it on scratch paper. Either way.
You do a fraction on this one.
A fraction?
Like,
Divided by?
oh, yeah, I just heard that.
That's, but you have to make sure that the back end's in parentheses and the whole front end's in parentheses.
All right.
So, that's different function. I got 36, did you?
I got 6.
I got 36 inside the square root. All right, so let's replace that whole square root with the 36. Did everyone get that? Notice my 36 is inside. You took the square root. Right? I haven't done that yet. So you're right, and I'm right. So, here we go. Draw a little dotted line. My first answer, after I take the square root, is 2 plus or minus 6 over 2. Now, notice my fraction bar here. What is it over? The whole thing, isn't it? How many answers do we have here? 2. So here's where you do the breakup, the split. It goes like this. On the left, 2 plus 6 over 2, or x equals 2 minus 6 over 2. And this is where I want to show you an incorrect method. Watch my calculator. All right? 2 minus 6 divided by 2. Okay? What is my calculator doing? It's going to divide 6 by 2. What do we want to do here? We want to say 2 minus 6 is a number. And that number, what? Divided by 2. So, if you have a calculator like this, you can go to the fraction mode. All right? To go to the fraction mode, you have to be in what's called math print. All right, you got to be in math print to do that. I could go fraction mode, and I could say 2 minus 6 over 2 like that. Now it's going to give me the correct answer. A little glare there, sorry. Okay, I can go that method. Or I can just think, hey, what is 2 minus 6? Well, that's negative 4. So that's negative 2. But either way, you've got to do the whole top to one number, then divide by 2. Jonathan?
Can't you also put in calculator parentheses 2 minus 6?
You could. You could. You could say parentheses 2 minus 6, close parentheses, because that's doing the whole thing first, then divide by 2. I'm just saying this is where I've seen people make mistakes. They can do all the complicated stuff, Melissa, but when it comes to 2 minus 6 over 2, they make the mistake there. So, let's try to avoid that. The other one, obviously 2 plus 6 is 8 over 2, and my answer is 4. Write them in the correct order, and boom. Now, I know it seems like I'm belaboring this idea over here, but that's where I see people making mistakes. That's where my top students are making the mistakes. And I'm like, wow, I can't afford to have my top people going there because then everyone else is going to follow. So we want to avoid that. The other mistake people are making is right here. They are not putting this number in parentheses before they square it. That's the other common error of all the things that I've seen. So I want to set you up for success, not failure. Let's look at number 2. Is it equal to 0? That's a good thing. So let's put our A, B, and C. Negative 3, positive 5, negative 2. Here we go. I sing, you write. Sing along if you want. X equals the opposite of B plus or minus the square root. And when you say square root, you're making a nice long one. B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. And that all over has to drag out there because you got to draw a long fraction bar. Okay? Here we go. What's B? Parentheses, 5 squared minus 4, parentheses, negative 3, parentheses, negative 2. Extend that radical sign. All over 2 times negative 3. That is going to be your longest line that you have. I'm also going to emphasize and suggest to you, Vicki, that you use 2 lines for this fraction. Don't try to cram all this on 1 line on your paper. Use 2 lines. That avoids making errors. All right, so here we go. I have negative 5, plus or minus. Someone tell me, what is this big, long number inside there? By the way, that has a special number, Max. It's called the discriminant. We'll learn what that means and more about it later. Someone work that out for me, crunch it out. You all have calculators, go ahead and do that. You got a number, raise your hand. Matt? Someone confirm, is it 1?
Yes.
All right.
Hold on.
If you don't get 1, take a minute. I'll wait. That whole thing became 1.
Yep.
That's nice. Are we good to move on?
No.
All right, go ahead and crunch it out. Get 1. Make sure you, because this is important that you can do this part right. All right, here we go. What's the square root of 1? Obviously, 1. So as I'm working this out, negative 5 plus or minus 1 over negative 6. So as we got that, now we're going to do our split up. Who can tell me my first part? What's the first part? What am I going to have? Negative 5 what? Plus 1 over negative 6? Or negative 5 minus 1 over negative 6? Work both of them out. Negative 4 over negative 6. Negative 6 over negative 6. I get 2/3 and 1. When I write this down, which one comes first? The 2/3. Now, both of these first two problems were designed to be neat answers. Honestly, though, could I have gotten a decimal just as easy? Yeah. All right? Could have, but in this case we didn't. I chose problems that actually worked out neatly. What if instead of 1 here, this had been 2? And instead of plus or minus 1, you would have plus or minus 1.414. Or something like that. All right, flip the page. At the top of the page, you have the quadratic formula. At the top of every problem on your homework tonight, you are going to write the quadratic formula. All right, here we go. Is it set up correctly, or do I need to manipulate anything? It's fine. All right, what's A, B, and C, Jess? B? C. Who thinks they know the quadratic formula without looking? Josh, go. No look.
So x equals minus b.
Oh. Knives in my stomach. Nope, knives in my stomach. Thank you. All right, opposite. Don't say negative. Let's say opposite. And here's why. If b is negative, that's why you always want to say the opposite of b. All right, go ahead. X equals the opposite of b.
Plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over
All over.
2.
Good. I heard you singing it, and as you sang it, you figured it out. Nice job, both of you. All right. Here we go. Let's write down that formula. Cover it up with your hand right now and write it down. Everybody. All right. Another emphasizing point, Elliot, when we're plugging our numbers in, we plug them in using parentheses. Make sure you plug them in using parentheses. Let's talk it through. X equals the opposite parentheses, 47, plus or minus the square root, parentheses, 47 squared, minus 4, parentheses, 3, parentheses, 30, all over, big long fraction bar, 2, parentheses, 3. All right. I can do the 6, but I can't do that inside in my head. And we certainly didn't learn 47 squared in our squares. So go ahead and crunch that out. Plug it in. I got 1849. Is that right? I just want to confirm someone else got my, I need to do a keystroke. All right, so 1849. Please tell me there's a square root of that that's not a decimal. It's 43? Okay, that's convenient. All right. So my first answer, negative 47 plus 43 over 6, negative 47 minus 43 over 6. Just for the sake of it, crunch those out on your own, see what you get as your two answers. See what you get. I just want to make sure, and do this on your calculator so you make sure you're using it correctly and you know what to do. Anybody need help, let me know. Melissa, is that little calculator, or Barbara, is that working?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyone got answers yet? Positive or negative? I got a negative 15 and a negative 2/3. Same thing. Negative 0.6 or 0.6? Negative 0.6 or 2/3, same thing. Did we all get those same? Negative 4 over 6, negative 90 over 6, so negative 2/3, negative 15. Curious, did you put the negative 15 first in your answer? If you did, pat yourself on the back. Well done. How do you feel so far? It's longer, but is it hard?
Yeah?
What's hard?
I don't know when I'm like so lost right now.
What's the hard part, Max? Talk to me.
All of it.
The formula itself or plugging it
I
in?
know the formula, it's just plugging it in.
Well, but if you know the formula, that's huge. Dylan, what for you is hard? I'm not denying. I'm not denying it's longer. It's more steps. But I'm only giving you 12 homework problems for, this piece. So hopefully it's a lot doable. All right, look at our last one. I'm trying to throw a wrench into the works here. What did I throw in there to try to trip you up that's not going to trip you up? Jess? You got to subtract the 40. So before you do anything, let's subtract the 40. X squared, 6x squared, plus 5x minus 40 equals 0. Have I talked about changing sides and changing signs? The 40 changed sides, so it went from a positive to a negative. All right, so here we go. My A is what? My B is? My C is? Here we go. My formula. Who thinks they know it without looking? All right, Jonathan, go ahead. You get M&Ms if you sing it. Okay.
X equals B plus or minus square root of
Help them out. Square root, B squared.
4AC all over 2.
Good. Max finishes it out. All right. B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Write it down on your paper. I can't do other things. All right, here we go. There's our formula. Write it down every time tonight. I know it sounds dorky. I know it sounds weird. Do it. You'll remember the formula better. All right, plug it in using parentheses. All right, plug it all in. Someone tell me, what do I have under that big square root? How much, Jess? You got positive 985? Can someone confirm that before we go on? Okay, everyone make sure you can crunch to 985. 965? 5, squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 40. 985. All right, and what's the square root of 985?
31.38.
Oh, we got a decimal this time. You said 31.38?
Yep.
All over 12. So, break it up. Plus 31.38 over 12. Minus 31.38 over 12. What are my two answers? Go ahead and give them to me. Jess? 2.2. I heard 3 point what? 03? Can someone check her on those? I want to make sure we agree. Chris, is that what you got? Make sure you get those too, or something very, 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 very close to them. Vicki?
Do you round to 22
I'd probably carry hundreds as I'm working through the problem. Was this exactly 2.2, Jess, or was it like 2.21?
It was 2.2198.
2.219?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 2.22. You might have rounded at the end instead of right now, which might be a better answer. I'm not sure, since I didn't do this myself. If you carry the decimal on this one and then round it at the end, that's probably your best option. So something in this ballpark, obviously be as accurate as you possibly can. All right? Make sense? Questions?